Let's welcome in Monsignor Roger Landry, the National Director for the Pontifical Mission Societies. Monsignor, welcome, and thanks for coming on. If we could just start with your thoughts, again, the news of Pope Francis's passing.
It's a shock whenever a Pope dies. This morning, as priest do, I celebrated Mass, and it was the first time in over 12 years in which I didn't mention Pope Francis's name until I prayed for the dead. Normally we pray with our Holy Father, Pope Francis. And so we're all a little orphaned today, but God will provide a 267th Pope after number 266, Pope Francis, who served for 12 years, has passed to the house of the Father.
Monsignor, as we begin to reflect and celebrate Pope Francis's life here, what's kind of top of mind this morning?
Pope Francis was a great Pope of mercy. He said we're living in a time of mercy, and he declared an extraordinary jubilee or holy year in 2016 so that people throughout the world would recognize the importance of divine mercy. And I think it's highly significant that Pope Francis has died within 9 days of prayer, not so much for him, but a 9-day or novena for divine mercy. And he was called home on the 4th day of that novena, which is an exclamation point on what he preached as successor of St. Peter.
Sure. Not to mention, I mean, the Monday after Easter Sunday, to make it through all 40 days of the Lenten season, the greatest celebration in the Christian calendar, Jesus' resurrection, and then to go home to the Father on the following day. Just really incredible. I wanted to
in Italy, Emma, the day after Easter is called Little Easter.
Wow.
And so that he was able to greet everybody with Happy Easter and then be taken on La Pasquetta, the Little Easter, I think is just a divine gift and a confirmation from above of how Pope Francis himself, his last homily was read yesterday, saying that we strain on to meet Jesus in the definitive encounter, but that's what he put into body language as he was called home this morning.
Indeed. Let's reflect back on some sort of new steps the Pope almost took with his leadership. He was the first Pope to appoint a woman to head a Vatican administrative office, also the first Pope to include women in bishop selection, the first Jesuit Pope, first Pope born outside of Europe in over 1,000 years, and first Pope from the Americas. So, Monsignor, you're quite the trailblazer.
He was a trailblazer. He was a very free man who was capable of doing what he thought was right in every circumstance. And he wanted to make sure that in every way, women, more than half the human race, are able to serve God and serve the church. He wanted to include them. He said very firmly that women couldn't be ordained priests, but there are so many ways to serve the church beyond that, and that he brought them to the highest responsibilities in the Vatican, including running the Vatican city-state as an Italian sister who spent much of her religious life in the state of Connecticut is now doing, Sister Raffaella Petrini. And so we're so grateful for the reforms that Pope Francis brought to the church, which will continue. And we're so grateful for the way he tried to serve God and us over these last dozen years.
Well, Monsignor, I can say I know a lot of people maybe didn't like the changes that Pope Francis brought and some of the ideas and theology that he brought in to the church here, but he really tried to welcome all, though. You know, it's hard to deny that. And you know, the theme of love all, you know, do it, what would Jesus do? You would have to make the argument that Pope Francis truly believed that that's what he was doing.
He was very sincere in prioritizing people, especially the least, the lost, and the last, and bringing them to the periphery. Sometimes that meant that those who were previously in the center didn't understand or didn't appreciate some of the choices he said. I think now, Jesus told us we'd have to answer for every word. Some of the ways Pope Francis said things could be a little jarring, especially to those of us here in America. But I think nobody will ever question his sincerity in trying to apply the gospel to the issues today. And that was a challenging and provocative, prophetic leadership.
Sure. And now the Catholic Church will look for its next leader and all of the ceremony that follows. Thank you so much, Monsignor Landry, for joining us this morning. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Information, truth, is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.